Hey folks, in today's video I will be reviewing The Magical Land of Yeld, 2nd edition. In addition to sending us a copy to review, Yeld Stuff sent us an extra copy to give away to one of you. Stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can win this copy. The folks over at Yeld Stuff reached out and asked if we would be interested in checking out this game, and I will say, as soon as I saw the artwork for this, I was immediately hooked. Like, this is one of the reasons you get good artists and like have great art design. It just, look at that. Look at all those cool characters. And then like the more I found out about it, the more I was like, this sounds like something right up our alley. So some brief introduction. Magical Land of Yeld is an entire system. This book contains everything that you need. It has character creation, it has the game master section, as well as the world of Yeld. Yeld is kind of, reminds me of Narnia in the idea of like, kids can enter the magical land of Yeld through these kind of magical portals, and the adventure starts when your party of friends, as they call the player characters, enter the magical land of Yeld and discover the portal back home is closed. And so they must go around and gather the 7 keys in order to open the doors to get back out, because if somebody over the age of 13 enters Yeld or is in Yeld when they turn 13, they become a monster and can never leave. It is for 2 to 8 players. The suggested age range is 10 and up, and it is a fantasy RPG. This is a very family-friendly game, and while, you know, it definitely seems like it's geared towards some younger gamers, like, you know, preteens and teenagers, adults are going to have just as much fun playing it. You do play kids, so that's something to keep in mind. But adults, hey, we can play as kids. Like, we enjoy Kids on Bikes and Tales for the Loop, which are 2 games that you play as kids. The rulebook has this great mix of, here are the rules laid out in a very easy to read format, as well as these really great comic panels that like introduce the different chapters. It introduces kind of the premise at the very beginning and then introduces kind of the various chapters, but also provides these great, like, here's the example of how combat plays out, or here's the example of how you would make a roll or check. So it's nice having this both written as well as a little bit of a visualization. I think that's very like younger, family friendly, and I just love the comic panel element to it. The art within this rulebook is really inspiring. There's all these different characters, a whole bunch of different representation of ethnicity within the friends, and all the monster designs are so cool, because not only do you have like, ooh, scary monsters, but also they're just like fun, like interesting monsters, because the monsters don't necessarily have to be like bad, evil, scary monsters. It's just, that's what happens to adults when they come into this land, and then they kind of get to choose how they're going to be. So you can have cool, friendly, funny monsters. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the mechanics. So this is a dice rolling game, but it uses a dice pool of D6, which I think is a good introduction to RPGs for kids, because it removes the needing to remember which kind of dice do you need to be rolling. It gives you a much more simplified, like, you have a pool, this is the amount of dice you get to roll, and it's all the same kind of dice. You're trying to beat a target number. There are no bonuses, not really a whole lot of fuss. It's a lot more straightforward with the how you're rolling. But if you fail, you lose a dice from that pool, and that's even reflected in death or in health, and you can fall unconscious, and you can die and become a ghost, but the friends don't die in this game. There is a kind of mechanic to keep the characters going and make sure that there's no actual like kid death in this game, even if they die. When it comes to combat, it suggests kind of using a action board, essentially a chessboard. Everybody starts on one side and the monsters start on the other side. And I find it really interesting that the way they set up like initiative and everything is one of the players starts and they get to choose who goes next. Whoever's is going gets to choose who goes next, not only within the friends, but also within the monsters. And this helps set up, there are action chains where you can kind of give these bonuses if you are, hey, I'm helping this person, and then they can help somebody else do something, and then they can help somebody else do something. That kind of snowballs into adding on additional dice, which I think really encourages cooperation. It encourages like creative, how are we going to combine these things together? But then also because the friends, the people who are playing the players are deciding, okay, who goes next? And then that person gets to choose who goes next. Including the monsters, it puts a lot more of that control for the players. It's a little bit less control on the game master for the combat. Now everybody gets to go once around, and then once everyone has gone, the next round starts and the same thing happens. So you can go in different orders, which allows for a lot more of that like cooperation and teamwork, to kind of set up like, oh, I know if I do this, that's going to help this person, and then hopefully they do this and that helps this person, and we succeed. Okay, so I mentioned that characters don't die. They don't die in this game. If your character falls unconscious and is at 0 health, they become a ghost. So they can't be seen or heard by the monsters or other friends, but they can still take actions. There are some specific ghost things that they can do. I think that's really great to keep kids involved, keep younger players involved. The games I have seen with younger players where, their character falls unconscious and they have to just kind of sit and wait until somebody revives them or the end of the fight, like, it's very easy to check out and become bored, but this keeps them involved. You still don't want your character to die because you can't do your normal character stuff. And then there are mechanics for reviving that character, as well as they have an explanation for like, if the entire party dies, they wake up in their home inn and there is a, penalty. They wake up with only one of the tough die, restored and then have to deal with, restoring the rest of those. So there's the penalty of dying, but it's not just like, okay, our entire party died and now that's it. We have to roll new characters. Another interesting mechanic is that the rulebooks suggest that everybody takes a turn being the game master. They suggest that, you switch up the game master maybe every 1 to 4 adventures, essentially like, hey, play through an arc, and then hand off the game master role to somebody else. Within the guidance on the story that you are playing through in Yeld, with collecting those keys and all of that, it has the suggested, like, here's kind of the story arc. Here are the major beats you should hit, but it allows the players and the game master to figure out what those beats are. So you could very easily say like, okay, this person's going to take the first one and then the next person's going to step in. And so you're taking what the first game master did, keeping that in mind, and then building on it and adding your own elements to it. Again, that's a very cooperative approach to it. I think it's also really great because, especially with younger gamers, it sometimes can be difficult to get somebody to step into the game master role, or you have somebody who feels like, well, I'm stuck in this role, but I also want to be able to play the adventure. This gives everybody a turn. Now, you could have just one person run the whole thing, and I think especially like if you're doing like a family game, or you have maybe a little bit wider of an age range with who's playing, perhaps you choose to have one person run it, like the adult run it, so that all the kids can just play. But I think that's great for introducing the idea, and as well as like giving everybody a chance, because somebody might discover, I really enjoy running the game, but if they were asked to run a whole campaign, that might be a little intimidating versus like, okay, I'm going to run an adventure, 2, maybe even 4 different sessions. That's a lot more approachable. As far as character creation, it's pretty simple, especially early on. It adds complexity as you begin. When you first are choosing your character, everybody is a human, unless you choose the dog option, and then you're a dog. But you choose a friend type, and there's a variety of different friend types to choose from, and each one offers its own kind of unique abilities with it. Then later on, after your characters have leveled up a little bit, you choose a job. And this is where you start adding a lot more of those, like, you can become a magic user, or you can have a lot, like, kind of the traditional RPG classes. I like that this gets added on a little bit later, because for people who are new to tabletop RPGs, the first couple of sessions, you get this chance to have a little bit of specialty with your friend type, before adding in the complexity of these different jobs and these different abilities that you need to manage. So you're able to grasp the beginner introductory rules well before you keep adding more complexity. A big thanks to all of our patrons, especially Sean. If you enjoy our videos and want to directly support us, make sure you're subscribed, and then head on over to patreon.com/rollforinitiative and check out the perks of being a patron. All right, let's get back to the review. Okay, so I have not looked at the full first edition of Yeld, but I did a little bit of research, and it seems that this second edition adds quite a bit of depth when it comes to the lore and the world. There are some mechanic changes between the first edition and the second edition that was a little bit harder for me to find exactly what the differences are. It seemed to be a lot of like clarifying some rules and doing some tweaking just to, simplify things, like what most second editions do. As far as the world goes, there are these different regions within Yeld that have different kinds of NPCs. You do have the Yeld is ruled by this like evil vampire, and there are the hunters that are the ones you have to kind of go get the keys from, and also they're hunting you. But then you also have all these different NPCs who are going to help you. And early on, you are supposed to have a mentor that helps guide your characters, helps provide them with the quests that they need to go on, and also helps like provide some world information. This is a very good like NPC that you can kind of give some exposition through with this NPC. But also there are a number of other NPCs fleshed out in the book, as well as all of the different monster types and stuff like that in the back of the book that you can peruse through and pick, for your encounters and stuff like that. Uh-oh. My light went out. The battery died. So yes, you're going to get this kind of complete world. It feels a lot like they are providing you with the, like, skeleton and, like, internal structure of the world, but then the players and Game Master get to provide the flesh. That got weird. But it provides you with, like, the structure and enough of it that you're not just creating something from scratch, but it allows you some flexibility that you get to fill in some of the details. There are some like adventure prompts and some world building prompts to help make your Yeld kind of unique to that table. So who is Yeld really for? I think this is an excellent game for families, for younger players, preteens, teens who are interested in getting into tabletop RPGs. Also great for adults who really want something that is very collaborative and story focused. It has a little bit of crunch to it without being super complicated. Like the rules that are there are a little crunchy, but it doesn't have a whole lot of complicated like combat stuff. There is a whole section on all of the items and stuff you could possibly need. That is excellent. Like, all of that stuff is in there. It's got all of the monsters and enough of the world building and story plotted out that it provides this nice framework for either the game master get passed around, or for somebody who's interested in kind of starting into that game master role. You have this clear story that you should be kind of following, that then you get to fill in the details. So you're not creating everything from scratch. There is a little bit of structure to it. It feels like it's a very friendly game for imaginative play that has rules that support that and rules that are clear, but without having too many rules. Yeld is funny and heartfelt and empowering. It feels like a very good entry point for people who are new to the hobby, or veterans of the hobby who just want something that just feels nice. Like, it feels like this nice, cozy, fun hug. And it does feel like it's going to be an action-packed adventure. It's going to be fun. And also, I didn't mention this earlier, but it is a game that encourages finding solutions without just killing. Now, you can kill the monsters, but there are some mechanics that kind of make killing the monsters maybe not always the best choice, because that can come back as ghosts. But it encourages, like, overcoming these obstacles and stuff like that without just resorting to let's bash everything in its head. So if you are interested in picking up your own copy, I will make sure to put links to it down in the description. And also, Yeld Stuff has sponsored a giveaway, so one of you lucky winners will get your own, if I show you the front, your own copy of Yeld. Make sure you follow the link in the description to find out how you can win this one. This book could be yours. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, because we make RPG content all the time. If you have picked up Yeld, either the first edition or the second edition, I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you haven't, does this sound like a game that you would be interested in picking up? Why or why not? Let's chat more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Roll for Initiative. Bye! Do you want to play this game when you're older?
Yeah.
Yeah? Does it look like a fun game?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can play it.
Okay, I'll play it. And I'll teach you when you're older, okay?
Okay.
Okay, bye!